So you got to know your conversion rate on everything, right? And that's always the starting point, I say, is the goal setting, knowing that you've got your tracking, your conversion tools in place. How much traffic are you getting? How much traffic does it take typically to turn a visitor into a lead? What's up? A lot of people come to me and they say, Andrew, how do I get leads? How do I get traffic? And I can't answer that with like this magic bullet response. I'm not made that way. I can't just tell you, hey, turn on traffic, go run some Facebook ads to a good landing page, ask the right questions, set up the right messaging, you'll get results. Definitely it's doable. I see it all the time. We do it for clients daily. We run Facebook ads internally for our clients, for mortgage, for real estate, for insurance. We know how to bring those kinds of leads in the door. And you could do the same thing, but I'm looking at it more as a long term. Like, how are we going to build something that lasts and it's here and it's producing more and more business, more and more consistently over the long haul, the next 2, 3, 5, 10 years, you know, hopefully before the robots obviously take over and they put all of us out of work. But we're not there yet. So getting results, you got to kind of rewire, I think, the way a lot of people come at it, where they want traffic, they want leads right away. They don't really think about what they got to build out. There's more of a foundational aspect to it. You got to set your goals. That's the big thing. First, too, is knowing that if you're in a position where you have $10,000 to spend over, let's just say, a 90-day period on running ads, you're in a very different position, different conversation I would have with you, different set of recommendations I'd make than if you come at it with a $500 budget or nothing, and you got to try to, you know, do some of the elbow grease and put effort into to running traffic. So there's different ways you can go about it, but first thing you got to do is set your goals. Look at, what do I have to spend? You know, how many leads does it typically take me to close a deal? That's crucial to look at and analyze and think about. You know, I pretty much right now in a spot where I close 1 out of every 5 deals. That's great, but where are those currently coming from? If that's all referral based, let's just say if those are realtor referrals, past clients that are sending you their friends, family, their clients, the closing rate you're going to get on that's really different than what you're going to get out of like Facebook leads. You might close 1 out of every 20 or 1 out of every 50 of those. So you got to come into it with a different mindset and know, okay, if I've got, again, $500, my leads cost me maybe $5 a pop. I got to get 100 of them. Can I close 1 out of every 100 or 1 out of every 50? And that's what you have to look at, you know, and knowing that going into it, that this is a completely different ball game than the closing rate you can expect from the realtor referrals that you're getting. Or if it's Google ads and maybe your cost per lead is more, maybe it's $50 a lead, but your closing rate's 1 out of every 10, you're at a good spot. You know, $500 to close 1 deal, you could probably make that math work all day long, pretty much all over the country. There's not that many places where you could spend $500, close a loan, sell a house, and not be in a really good spot on that. And then it's like, is this a gumball machine? Can I just put in $500 and pretty consistently pull out a closed deal? When you find that, hold on to it. And that's a great, you know, that's a great channel for you. In most cases, spending $500 to close 1 deal, that's beautiful. We could do that all day long. Let's keep running that traffic and seeing what else we could maybe experiment. Maybe we can get the cost per lead down and get those numbers even better. But I'd say if you're in that spot, you're in a pretty good place. You know, $1,000 to close a deal even, that's not terrible. In many markets, if you're making $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 on a loan, for example, spending $1,000 or even $1,500 to close a deal, that's not terrible. So cost per funded loan, that's an important number. Cost per transaction, obviously, knowing what you make on a deal, how many leads does it take to close a deal, and you know, what's the cost per lead. So you got to know your conversion rate on everything, right? And that's always the starting point, I say, is the goal setting, knowing that you've got your tracking, your conversion tools in place. How much traffic are you getting? How much traffic does it take typically to turn a visitor into a lead? You know, if you're at 2 or 3%, that's pretty weak. Typically you can improve that, get that up to 5, 10, 15, 20% and higher. We see that all the time, meaning instead of 2 or 3 of the 100 people that come to your page turning into a lead, 15 or 20 of them potentially turn into a lead. Same traffic, same amount of money you spent, just a lot more people that hit your page are actually converting and giving you information and giving you that ability to take the next step, get them on the phone, you know, and build a relationship. So all these different all these different things matter, you know, traffic, conversion rates, how many people right now are converting into a lead, how many of the conversations are you having before you can convert a lead into a sale. And then looking at, you know, the big picture, taking a step back and figuring out, what do I have to work with? You know, I've got $1,000. If I could get a lead at $100 a pop and it takes me 10 of those to close a deal, $1,000 cost per funded loan or cost per closed sale, that's awesome, right? In many places, in many locations, some parts of the country that you're not doing very well, you're not even profitable if that's your number. So you got to look at what your opportunities are like in your given market. Where's your low-hanging fruit, right? So I like to look at it as a holistic approach, not just, hey, we'll turn on Facebook ads for you, you can get leads tomorrow or same day. You could do that for sure, but what about your follow-up system? How many times are you calling? Like, what's going out automatically? Is a text message hitting that person? What's the scripting on that look like? What's the first email that goes out? What's the subject line on that? What was the thank you page that they saw when they filled out your lead form? All this kind of stuff matters. It all starts to add up, and you go from, again, closing one out of maybe every 100 leads that comes in off something like a Facebook campaign. Maybe you get it down to one out of every 20. Then the numbers start to work and they start to make sense. So again, figure out where you're at, knowing that you don't want to just jump into this like a fly-by-night, like diet sales, diet pill sales, like affiliate marketer type setup where you're just trying to get the cheapest traffic. You're trying to get leads in the door and sales in the door as quickly as possible before Google shuts you down. That's not the name of the game where we're talking mortgage leads, real estate leads, insurance leads. You got to be ethical. You got to look at it as a long-term approach. You got to know also that you're up against these billion-dollar companies that are trying to get your leads and steal your leads from you. That's why Zillow, for example, loves it when if I Google your name, they come up as the first listing in Google because you built out a content page on Zillow. Now they're stealing your traffic and your leads from you, and then they try to either sell it to you or your competitor. So how can we start to take control back of this whole opportunity, this lead generation opportunity that exists online? So again, I'd love to give you the sexy magic bullet, just turn on traffic and step back and let the sales come in. We can definitely do that as kind of a short term if you need traffic immediately, injection, you know, that's possible. But again, I like to look at it more holistically. What else can we do? What opportunities are there in your current database marketing? What are you currently spending money on? Cost per lead, cost per acquisition, what does it cost to close a deal? Starting to look at these numbers and figuring out what do you have to work with and what would make sense. And then you can start to plan and take the next steps accordingly, whether it's launching a new website or just turning on a retargeting campaign, looking at what conversion opportunities or where does traffic right now, if you have a website or a landing page, where is it looking? Where is it going? Is there any opportunity to convert more of those people into leads, get better results from what you're currently doing? And then you can take that, reinvest, and build out better systems, better automation. But it starts with, again, laying out that foundation, taking a step back, figuring out what numbers have to look like for this all to make sense and for you to be profitable and be successful, and just, you know, doing the math backwards. And again, if the lead is this much, if the click costs this much, if I have to have this many conversations, and you know, how else can I use these leads if they come in and maybe they don't close? You know, if it's a poor credit lead, do I have automation in place to monetize that lead, then bring it back to me when the loan's ready, right? Or when the credit score is ready to do the loan. Insurance leads, financial advisor leads, CPA opportunities. There's a lot of different overlap areas of opportunity where a lead comes in your door, but they would be an awesome fit for one of your referral partners. And then you start to build up that leads coming in as a result of your network effect, which happens when you can be the rainmaker, right? The producer of the business opportunities and the relationships. Instead of, you know, kind of having your hand out, you're coming at it with, hey, I've got something of value to bring to the table. Then you start building out relationships, and then every lead that comes in becomes that much more valuable. Even if you can't close it, somebody in your sphere of influence can do something with it, and then that comes boomeranging right back to you. So let's look at all this as the method. You know, again, the first thing first is setting the goals and looking at where you're currently at. And then we'll talk a little bit more about each one of those specific areas. You know, conversion rates on your website, your landing page, conversion rate on your sales calls and texts to appointments, conversion rates on appointments to applications to sales. So there's a whole funnel, obviously, you got to go down. My favorite part to really talk about is how to bring them in the door, but then also how to put it all together in a way that means the leads coming in turn into closed deals. So more on that in coming videos, but wanted to, again, answer that question of where do I start? What do I do first? Set your goals. Figure out what do you have to spend? What do you have to bring in with that ad spend to get the right opportunities to close a deal? And can it work for you? You know, and if you're interested in learning more about having someone help manage this kind of stuff, manage your ads, teach you about conversion rates, more on blogging, how to create content, videos, all that kind of stuff, more videos to come on all those topics, and check out the links in the description. And make sure you like and subscribe, share this content with your friends, your colleagues. There's going to be a lot more about this kind of stuff on this channel, so please do subscribe below and definitely hit that bell to get updates when new content is uploaded. Thanks for checking out the video. Catch you soon.